Hey everybody, Chris Bell, the Belltower here, and thanks for joining me. I had a student ask me about soloing using guide tone lines, and I thought this would be a good opportunity to get back into the video lesson blog activity. So I thought I'd share this with you. Just a quick little tip. If you want to improve your playing or your soloing, your improvising, a good idea can be to look at the chords that you're using, chord voicings, and paying close attention to how the notes of one particular chord move to the next chord. What I mean by that is, let's take a typical blues in A. If I was going to play an A7, and I don't really mean to play an A7 like this, I typically strip the chord down to just the root and the third and seventh of the chord. When I look at this chord, and let's say we're playing a blues in A, and I go from the one chord, A7, to the 4 chord, you notice that we have this set of notes on the 4th and 3rd strings that when we move from the A chord down to the D7 chord, this grouping just goes down a half step. And we can actually hear the change, or you can hear, if I was playing rhythm guitar, I'd play A7 like this, D, back up to A7, right? Down to D, up to E, right? You can hear the sound of the blues there, and I didn't really even play any bass notes. Well, one idea about soloing might be to really try to hammer those notes and their motion in your soloing lines. For instance, if I was soloing over the blues, I might focus on making, say, the C sharp, right, which is part of my A7 chord. That's this note, 3rd string, 6th fret, making that a prominent note in my melody. And then the moment that that A7 chord resolves down a half step to D7, I take my prominent note, my C sharp, and I bring it down a half step to C. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So if we were going to play the blues, 1, a 2, a 1, 2, a 3. Okay, I played C sharp a mess of times there. And I was really focused on making sure to play that C sharp right before that C sharp in the A7 chord resolved down a half step to D7. And when it did, I took my C sharp note down a half step so that you could hear the sound of the harmony, the chords moving from A7 to D7 in my lines. Okay? So this approach is one where we're trying to play melodies that are more closely connected to the sound of the chords that are happening at any given moment in time. We're not just playing licks, blues licks on the guitar because I know I'm in the key of A. I can play a blues lick that I know, and everything should work just fine, and that's fine. And sometimes those devices are great. However, if we want to get deeper into playing the song and playing the melody, then the best route, or let's just say a good route, might be to take a look at the chords that are sounding and figure out some way of indicating the chord changes in our lines. And before we go, I'm going to just play one chorus of the blues. Well, actually, I'll play a couple choruses of the blues. I'll try to comp for myself, but for the most part, I'm going to try to create lines where I'm outlining the motion of the two-note, that two-note wonder, that tritone or the guide tone lines from A7 to D7, back to A7, then up to the 5 chord, down to the 4, and to the 1. Okay, so a 1, a 2, a 1, 2, and 3. Hopefully, you could hear the sound of the chords as they're changing in my lines, and yet nobody's comping for me, right? And if I was successful doing that, I was successful because I really tried to focus on the guide tones of each chord and how they were moving to the guide tones of the next chord. Of course, you can do this on any chord progression. You don't need to just do it on the blues. You could do it on standard tunes or soul tunes or whatever you want to do, but it really helps keep your melody connected to the sound of the song, the harmony of the song, and I think it creates more interest to the listener, if you will. So there you have it. Please feel free to send me a note if you have any questions about it. Love to hear from you guys, and keep practicing.